up to another 2,000 gold sitting in his bank. And right now, Tongfu doesn't have to feel pressured to do anything. They can just sit back, guard their jungle, make sure Hal stays safe, because they know that it's Na'Vi that really does have the onus on them. It's an absolute necessity. They make something happen soon. Puppey is going to be buying, one would think, a Scepter. He's picked up the point booster, and certainly make him a little bit more survivable. A Scepter, I think, very necessary if they do intend to try and let this game drag out a little bit longer. Again, Chen, a hero who's always good, but a Scepter just increases the range of his viability in terms of time. We see the Ursa has picked up a Basher, which is certainly nice in terms of going one-on-one with that Anti-Mage. A little RNG love, never hurt nobody if you ask for Boast.
The Basher choice is really the only thing he could have done, because what else can he do against the AM if he BKBs? You have to make sure that you have something on your team to hold him in place, and up until he had that Basher, Na'Vi had nothing. So now he can actually blink in if he sees Hao is vulnerable and potentially go for a kill, but it's still really difficult. 1700 health isn't really that low anymore. Hao's getting tankier the longer the game goes on. He could honestly go for something like a Butterfly, I think. If he wants to, he can go Heart. It's the ultra safe choice, but Butterfly still is great against Ursa because obviously there's no MKB, and he's really the only threat to the AM at this stage. And having the BKB, of course, makes it so Puck silence doesn't matter anymore. Shackles you don't have to worry about. It's pretty much all Ursa that's going to have to stop him.
We can see Tongfu did try to get aggressive. They went for a smoke, and Havo's trying to chase down Hao. Has no mana though. Blinked up, but at least will be able to claim his own Aegis. But yeah, Tongfu just, and you know, they're beginning to tighten the net a little bit. Just beginning to make Na'Vi feel a little bit more of a stranglehold. DK has picked up his Shadow Blade to go with his BKB, so his two big core items are done now. And again, it's easy to forget. I mean, we're just 28 minutes into this game. I mean, it's not an early game anymore, but certainly still not late. But it just feels so late, not because of the action. A relatively quiet game in that regard, only 13 kills. But Hao is just so big at this point that he feels like a late game Anti-Mage already. 3,800 gold in his inventory at the moment.
Yeah, his farm is actually insane. 326 last hits at 29 minutes in. Pretty decent last time I checked. So Tongfu, they're smoked up. Oh, they're actually going to try to go around here.
Looking to pull a bit of a pincer, and Na'Vi could be caught out and punished so badly here. Let's see how they want to initiate it. They've got Banana up front. Here comes Moo. He's going to Shadow Blade in. Who's going to be the target of priority? There's the Surge, and picks out Kuro. Here we go. Going to jump in. Kuro already got beautiful vacuum into the wall. They're going to blow the hand of God to try and keep the fight going. Havost is laying into Moo. He's able to get away, though. Sansheng surrounding him, as well as King J and Banana and Havost. Going to end up having his Aegis popped. In the meantime, Hal chasing down the rest of Na'Vi behind the fight. Dindy's back in, but Dindy will drop again. Havost taking the last of the damage. That's a triple kill for Hao. And unfortunately for Na'Vi, the planning, the strategy of Tongfu just punishing what they knew was coming. They knew Na'Vi was going to have to try and push. They snuffed it out perfectly and executed it as well as anyone could have asked. 7-10, Tongfu leads in kills for the first time. Hao's out of control with 1,500 gold, and this tier 2 mid looks to be their next prize.
I don't think it's fair to use the kill lead or the gold lead to tell how far Tongfu actually are ahead in this game, just because their lineup, if they were able to make it in the early game and the mid game, remain stable and get to this stage, there was a very low chance that I think they could have lost. But they not only did that, but they managed to turn these fights and put Na'Vi in a position where, honestly, what can they do?
Tier 3. Going to end up dropping. Hao just does not care. Has not even built like a heart or anything, but feels like he has. That's a long-range shackle. Boomerangs. And catches Hao, however. No engagement out from Na'Vi. They do manage to keep their racks up. Tongfu not wanting to get too far ahead of themselves. Roshan will be back up in just about 4 minutes, so one would imagine that'll be their next goal. Take a Roche, push a racks, and force a game 3. So, talking about Na'Vi, what can they do to get back into this? Really, they're in that uncomfortable situation where just going head-to-head with an Ursa, as good as the hero is, you know, again, it's that Best Buy date. Puppey, still playing a great game, but he's beginning to fall off a little bit. All of a sudden, the Visage doesn't feel nearly as dangerous as he did 10 minutes ago. And Havost, of course, with basically just mid-game items. Nothing but a Vlad's, a Basher, and a Blink Dagger. There's no way he's going to be able to be nearly as relevant as Tongfu's Anti-Mage will be in the next few minutes, especially when he's getting so much help with Ancients. He's got 6,700 gold. He's going to run to the secret shop and just pick up an Eagle Song, so it will be the Butterfly.
Yeah, I figured it might be. The two choices, like Butterfly and Heart. Heart gives you a little bit less damage, but it gives you, well, a lot less damage actually, but it gives you the survivability against all types of damage. But since he has a BKB anyway, he doesn't really need it. He can just go for the Butterfly because, again, the Ursa is really the only damage threat that he has to worry about. And not only does he get the evasion from it, but he gets a lot more damage on his Manta as well. And his damage output is just going to go through the roof now. And after that, he might just go for the Batcher, might just build a full Abyssal. I don't actually think he needs a Heart in this situation because he already feels pretty much unkillable without even having the Butterfly finish. I mean, we saw the last engagement. They couldn't do anything to him, and Havos just spent most of the time trying to run and attack one person. And Ursa falls off in the sense that if you don't have a very big lead, you're not going to instantly kill anyone. You're going to get your full overpower off. The hero will probably be at about half health, and then your usefulness has pretty much been decided at that stage.
Tongfu just continuing to wait out the Roshan respawn. Again, about 2 minutes, farming across the map and making sure they maintain map dominance in Na'Vi, knowing that really at this point the game's a little bit out of their control. Dendi trying to soak what he can. As a Hex really one of the big items that they have to have any hope of taking down this Anti-Mage. I mean, that's just going to have to be how it is. I mean, now that the Butterfly's out, that creates a new set of problems all its own, but it's all going to begin and end with Dendi. Dendi has to execute, has to make sure he gets that Hex up at some point in the near future, but we're going to have an engagement here. Puppey caught out, and Havos able to clean up Rubik with just 2 swipes. Hao going to chase down 2 behind while Havos tries to chase down Banana, and Hao locked in place with a shackle. Now he's going to be coiled. He snaps it, but he was BKB, doesn't matter. So Havos gets a double kill after chasing down Banana elsewhere on the map. And Na'Vi showing they still have a pulse and they're not scared of that Anti-Mage, at least not yet.
That was really close to being more kills, actually, because Dendi had just finished his Hex before they went on that. And if he had gotten closer and been able to Hex the AM after the Shackle, they probably would have been able to kill Hao too. It depends on how close, I guess, Havos was in that situation. But regardless, 2 kills, going to be nice for Na'Vi. They're trying to assert some kind of map control, and Hao's actually going to TP back to base. Interesting choice. I figured he might actually stay out for a little while, but I suppose not being able to see anybody in the middle lane has alerted him a bit that something might be afoot.
You can see Na'Vi smoked up, making their way through the secret shop area. Roche only a few seconds away from respawn. Looking to get themselves in a good position. They've got a very nice ward down right at the steps leading to the secret shop, so they're going to know from what angle Tongfu comes unless they smoke. And that's going to be the state of things. Oh, Havos alone and caught out. He's going to have to run. He has a blink. Now we're going to have the engagement break out below. We're going to see a beautiful vacuum and caught 2. Havos laying into Banana, cleans him up. They're going to be able to mech through some of that damage though. Havos going to try to TP away. Nope. Telekinesis and brought down. Mega kill for Moo. And next, Roshan for Hao.
Na'Vi not looking so good right now. Roshan, like you said, going to be going their way. Hao is going to be the recipient of an Aegis or a Cheese. This is actually the 3rd Roshan, so this is tough for Na'Vi. I mean, their heroes just can't deal with AM anymore. They don't have enough. I mean, the Ursa needs something like an Abyssal Blade completely, and maybe something on top of that even to compete with Hao at this stage, and they just simply don't have it. So next push, Hao's going to have that Cheese. He's got 4,000 gold, so whatever item choice he's going to make next. I'm kind of leaning towards the Basher, just so you can stick to the Ursa, don't have to worry about getting RNG'd or anything like that. But this game right now, it's all Tongfu.
Taking a look at the gold graph, we can see it's approaching 5 figures, but again, golden experience really only goes so far. It's all about composition, and Havos, unfortunately, had just had his time to shine came and went without a whole lot of shining being done. And just really well played so far from Tongfu. Na'Vi, of course, with that standout performance in Game 1, now most likely going to be forced to go to a Game 3. And yeah, I mean, this is the Tongfu we know. I mean, having watched them again as much as we did in the prelims, they do get, you know, we've seen them take some tough losses, but at the same time, they're just a team that when it comes to it, they are at their best whenever they can just sit back and methodically gain a lead. Na'Vi, perhaps the exact opposite, you know, a team that you feel like exceeds the most whenever they're out making plays, but this time around, just no plays to be found.
I'm kind of surprised, actually, because Tongfu, they picked the AM second, right?
Yep.
So you see the AM second, you say to yourself immediately, if you're Na'Vi, you've already picked 2 heroes, you say, okay, we got a Chen already, we got a Visage, we know we have a multitude of options, we know we can pressure, and they picked a lineup that could force the issue to a certain extent. But they had a Windrunner who wasn't really able to get anything accomplished. They don't have any other heroes who can split push. There's no Nature's Prophet or anything like that. They don't have any way of getting the map back once they lose the map, that's it. Like their only option really is smoke ganking, whereas Tong Fu, they have their Battle Fury AM who can force people to come to him in either 2 or 3 just to be able to stop him from doing anything, and that just gives room back to them. So they have things to fall back on, where I feel like Navi's lineup, it's not necessarily one-dimensional, but it has one specific goal, and if that goal isn't achieved, then basically you have this.
Tong Fu taking their time, clearing out the lanes, making sure they're all moving in the right direction. Na'Vi relegated to standing in the shadows of their Tier 3. Map control completely gone from them now. And even the DK beginning to feel just gigantic at this point. He's right behind the Ursa in terms of net worth, but in terms of what he's able to do with the gold he has, he's going to have his heart done very soon. He may well have the recipe on his way. Yeah, he does. So heart already done on him. He's going to be nigh impossible to bring down between the armor and everything else. Has a Shadow Blade as well. And he's actually going to be dropped off. And looks like the courier, Mr. Wizard, going to be taking that elsewhere.
Yeah, he's going to get the Basher now, so how... With the attack speed that he has right now, he can pretty much stun lock somebody if he gets lucky. And like you said, DK with the heart. Like, I don't think Tong Fu can actually lose all of their heroes. 3,000 HP on the Dragon Knight, 2,100 and a Butterfly on Mu, and here comes Tong Fu.
Tong Fu just going to rush down the racks, not worrying about backdoor protection. Funnick going to shoot the Shackle. Beautiful Manta from Hal to dodge it out. And the glyph used to allow it to regen. Here come the creeps. They're only going to work so long. And there you go. Able to bring it down. Shackle does latch. Let's see if they can follow it up. No, wait, nope, they're going to net him down. Now the Hex. Can they get in? No. Force Staff's there. Havos jumped in. The Aegis is gone. And Havos, though, stunned out and chased down. He's going to try to re-engage, doing good damage, but no way to get the job done. Mana Void going to clean things up. Hao is indeed wicked sick. The coil went off from Dinding, but unfortunately nothing there to follow it. And with Chen and Windrunner down, Puck's still up, Ursa's back up. Here we go, they're gonna try and chase it down. Mu jumps on Kuro. Hao going to town, beautiful splitter, it's caught all 3, and look at the burst. A full 5 wipe. Puts the cherry on this game for Tong Fu. GG's called, and we're going to a game 3 here in our semifinals of the upper bracket at the International 2013. Na'Vi falls to Tong Fu, battling back and giving us another full series on the day. Such a well-played game, Draskell, very methodical, and they didn't give Na'Vi any openings to speak of. Na'Vi, again, they made plays when they could. They were in the lead for a while, but as it came down the stretch, just too much farm on Hao and no way for Na'Vi to mitigate it. So, looking ahead to game 3, man, can't wait to get things going, but until we do, how about we throw back to James and the crew at the desk.
Thanks, AC and Draskell. So there we have it. A 1-1 tied game. Na'Vi really didn't get what they wanted out of their lineup in terms of handling the anti-mage. They weren't able to put any early game pressure onto him at all, and Tong Fu, to me, it felt like the game was just going their way from the get-go.
Yeah, they just capitalized on the fact that Na'Vi did a sort of weak lineup if they don't abuse the timing window they have, and they really couldn't get their gangs through or anything, and that's the weak point of Chen.
Where would you say the timing window was for Na'Vi, where they had to make something happen?
I'd say against a lineup like Tong Fu's, they'd have to go and dominate around the 20-minute mark and not make sure that Hao didn't farm up as much as he did.
Yeah. All right, Ben, what did you make of the match? Bruno?
We're going to see how... by this point, we're 30 minutes into the game. The anti-mage is way too farmed. The thing about the Ursa is that it's really nice, as we saw in the game that Liquid had against an EFC yesterday. It's a really strong hero. He can burst you down, but as time progresses, Na'Vi has nothing else to contest against the anti-mage. And anti-mage is kind of a counter to Ursa in the sense that he has so much mobility that Ursa cannot catch up with you. And the Dragon Knight is so tanky that even if you try and kill him, there's the rest of the team going out for you. Na'Vi had the game control for the first 10 to 15 minutes into the game. Dendi was making plays with the patch, but by the time Anti-Mage got something, we all knew that Tong Fu was going to take it. It was just a matter of when.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that they picked Ursa. We haven't seen Ursa pick too much. I think Alliance have used it a couple of times.
Liquid as well.
Secure Roshan, and Liquid has used it with Wisp, but they kind of just pick Ursa. I don't think he's the best hero versus Anti-Mage because he doesn't have any lockdown. He wasn't able to complete his Abyssal Blade by the end of the game, and sure, they had a sheep, but Anti-Mage was just way too stacked. You definitely can't kill him in just one sheep, and I would like to see just a more well put together strategy. He just seems like it was just like thrown in there. For example, last game they had the Pudge Pot on, which they'd run a couple of times, some synergy there, but this one just didn't work out for
This
them.
game was the exact opposite of the first game. Basically, Na'Vi had the same amount of kills the first game, 10 minutes in, as the total amount of kills 30 minutes in this game. I think there was like 15 kills on the board by the 30-minute mark, and nothing had went Na'Vi's way. It was even, but Tong Fu was large in charge and way ahead of Na'Vi in all aspects of the game. I'm actually surprised Na'Vi withheld as long as they did.
Yeah, it felt like they had such a small chance to win. It was really something had to go huge in their favor, but unfortunately it wasn't able to do so. So talking about Tong Fu, obviously winning a game, that's got to be a pretty big deal here on stage. Bringing it to 1-1, is that going to help him in terms of confidence or in terms of being able to take one game versus Na'Vi? Are Tong Fu a team that can come up to the last game and throw a curveball at Na'Vi?
Definitely. I think this matchup in particular was very close from the get-go. Na'Vi proved me wrong in the first game, but I'm glad that Tong Fu struck back now and showed that they can actually play ball with them. Granted, Na'Vi's lineup wasn't really as synergetic as the one we saw in the first game or in some of the other games we've seen in their first match against Orange, but I'd still tip my hat in favor of Na'Vi, but I think Tong Fu can definitely play ball, and I'm excited to see what they'll bring out this game because they had a sort of standard lineup this game.
Yeah. It would be very interesting if what you guys might consider a very even match on paper in terms of the picks. I think that's what everybody really wants because so far they've had a decent edge over their opponent. Obviously, when you pick Pudge, it doesn't mean you're going to win a game. They played superb with that, but Na'Vi in game 2 weren't able to make anything happen. But before we get into game number 3, which we'll preview in a little moment, we're actually going to speak to Pyrion Flax. And apparently, he's looting the secret shop.
Okay, hey, this is Pyrion Flax at the secret shop with Arsenio. Arsenio, you are the shopkeeper, are you not?
I am the shopkeeper.
And you guys have got some fantastic merchandise here this year. What kind of stuff did you have last year that you haven't, or that you've got this year that you didn't have last year?
I think one of the cool things that we have this year that we didn't have last year is the Blind Box Micro Plushies. We wanted to have a analog version of the crate system with the keys and the crates. So we wanted to have something special and try an experiment where people can have that experience in the real world. So we have 10 different designs and a bonus design that's really rare. And so that one is...
I believe that the really rare one is the wizard here that I have. The wizard. The shitty wizard, we'll say. Anyway,
wizard.
yeah.
All right, shitty wizard.
I actually got gypped, and I ended up with 7 pucks and 4 tide hunters. And I'm going to set up a trading stall here on a barrel. Is that cool?
I think trading, and that's one of the great things about this mechanic, is that we wanted people to be able to engage with each other and trade with each other and have an excuse to engage with another community member.
Great. I mean, I think everybody's very happy with the shop this year, so we look forward to seeing some more stuff maybe next year. You got some ideas for next year?
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that we did different this year, we brought on Team Liquid as a licensee, and we also want to reach out to some of the community contributors and work together with them to create merchandise. So the more that we can have the community involved in the production of merchandise and associated goods, the better.
Great. Thanks, Arsenio. And I'm going to set up my stall just over here, trading pucks. Okay.
Trading pucks,
all right,
good.
take it easy. Thanks. So, I bought a load of those plushie ball things, and I got stiffed because I ended up with all these pucks, and I only want 1 puck, and I got all these tides as well. So these are the ones I've got, my GOTS that I'm going to keep, and these are the ones I'm going to trade. We're going to find anybody who's got extras that wants to trade a spare. I've got pucks, I got tides. Roll up, roll up. Pucks to trade. What do you got? I'll take a warlock for a puck. Let's trade it up. Let me see. Is that a homemade Ursa? No. Hey, dude, did you get any doubles? Doubles? You got doubles? What is this?
It's a one-off prototype.
Is that a head crab?
It's a head crab. It's a happy head crab.
A signed Bloodseeker? Look at this. That's worth $1 million. Yeah, I think I'm done. A successful trading session. Maybe I'll catch up some more trading and some more horse trading later on. Thanks for watching.
Thanks there, Pyrion. I think there's only 11 plushies, but he bought more than 11, and then started trading them. So I'm not sure about the math there, Pyrion. But luckily, Pyrion gets to use real money at the secret shop because he never actually has enough gold when he's in game to purchase pretty much anything. But either way, it's nice to see him on camera. Also, though, the people that we do want to see, it's Na'Vi and Tongfu for game number 3. They're already in the game, so we'll go straight to what you want to say. If there's anything interesting you guys have to say, so if you don't want to say anything, that's fine.
I'm done.
Okay, you're done.
Okay,
Bruno?
I have something interesting. I think Tongfu is going to win this because their matchup favors them against Na'Vi. Na'Vi likes to play Puck, Quop, these heroes that rely on killing squishes. And the two best heroes from Tongfu are Lifestealer for the carry and Dragonite for the mid. Two very strong, very tanky heroes. So if they can't get ahead in the beginning like it happened in game 1, they will not be able to beat them.
I'm hoping for something new and exciting that's not just a plain Ursa without support. Hopefully another Pudge game from Dendi, but I think Na'Vi will take it home.
I too am looking for a good game. Good job, Ben. We're going to go straight to the game. So the winner of this, it's tied up 1-1. The winner will move into the winner bracket finals to play Alliance tomorrow, which also means they secured a top 3. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy the game. Best of luck to both teams. It's Na'Vi versus Tongfu.
Na'Vi versus Tongfu.
Welcome back to the floor of beautiful Benaroyo Hall. It's match point, Draskell. The upper bracket semifinals. Tongfu taking on the fan favorite Na'Vi. Na'Vi put on a hell of a show in game 1. Game 2, Tongfu methodically ground them down. And now again, it's midnight hour, at least for their upper bracket hopes. The winner of this set will move on to meet Alliance in the upper bracket finals. The loser, of course, not out yet, will drop down, but don't want to be in that lower bracket if they can help it. Looking back over the game 1 and game 2, the strategies employed totally different, as they said at the analyst desk. The fact that Tongfu very methodically just took apart Na'Vi's game plan, did not give them any openings in comparison to the high-flying, hook-throwing sort of an approach Na'Vi took in game 1. Looking at it now, we can already see the bans and picks well underway. Darkseer Rubik, a very solid core, is always coming out of Tongfu. Chen and Alchemist coming out for Na'Vi.
I think what we've gathered from this is Tongfu really likes Darkseer, and Na'Vi really like Chen. Pretty sure it's been all 3 games that we've actually seen those heroes together for each of those teams at least. So this game's going to be no exception. Alchemist to follow up the Chen, obviously very strong, versatile. Na'Vi is one of the teams, though, that typically doesn't run the Alchemist mid. A lot of other teams do, but Na'Vi more often than not just put Host on that role. They put him in the farming role, and Alchemist is one of those heroes that synergizes well with Chen in the fact that he is actually strong mid-game. If you give him a free lane and you don't contest him at all, then you know for sure that you're going to have darn near full inventory at 25 to 30 minutes. It's depending on what kind of build you go, whether it be Battle Fury or whether you want to go for something like a Shadow Blade. So Na'Vi still looking to play the aggressors here, I'm sure, whereas Tongfu, they have about some of the most versatile picks you're ever going to see. And starting off with the Darkseer Rubik, it leaves them wide open for any array of strategies.
One of the things I love so much about seeing a Chen pick with an Alchemist is Alchemist takes a little pressure off of Chen and building that mech sometimes, but as you said, Na'Vi is one of those teams who doesn't traditionally do that. They do like to simply farm the hero up, let Havosa do his job, get a Shadow Blade, phase boots up very quickly, and start taking fights very early on. And of course, Chen, a hero that works great with that. Alchemist and his sustain, and that's really where the true synergy between the two heroes comes. Once Chen hits 6, once Alchemist hits 6, and they want to start taking fights, Chen's Hand of God allows him to draw out these fights. The regen built into Alchemist allows him to have a lot more survivability, especially if he gets an early BKB and decides to go that route as well. And this, on both sides, Tongfu and Na'Vi feeling each other out have the option of reacting very quickly to whatever they see now as we come into the 3rd and 4th slot picks.
Well, it's interesting because Na'Vi, in the last game, they picked a strategy that they kind of had to execute really hard, but they also did the same thing in the first game. But here, there's a bit of a deviation already. When you pick an Alchemist, it automatically feels a bit safer because you have a hero that you know can at least pull its weight past like the 25-30 minute mark, which is really important. So maybe they're just picking a bit more safe because they know or respect Tongfu enough to know that they're not always going to be able to just execute and have crazy Dendi Pudge games where he's able to just land hook after hook. What was it, something like 19 hooks landed in the first game? Yeah, it was completely out of control. So Na'Vi, I don't know what they're going to take here, honestly. There's a lot of choices for them. If they want to go super aggressive, that can definitely be something that plays to their favor because Na'Vi, of course, one of the best aggressive teams in the world. But Puck's already banned. So that's going to be something that Dendi is not going to be able to get his hands on. And I think taking a Pudge is really, really risky in this situation when you already have a Rubik and a Darkseer. But the choice is actually going to be Nyx. And I like Nyx specifically because against Darkseer, it's quite good. Having Mana Burn against these types of heroes is really strong. Carapace is very annoying too because you just have 2 AoE abilities in the Ion Shell and the Vacuum, so you can be a huge disruption during these fights. And not only that, but if it's a support Nyx, he's going to get a lot of EXP here because the Chen's going to be jungling, he'll be free to pull, and Tongfu right now don't look like they were going to be contesting. They're picking a Gyrocopter Rubik, which means that you're going to be able to split the experience really evenly between Navi's trial lane. Oh, they pick it! They took the Pudge! You can see Dendi's smiling right now.
Oh, yes.
He wanted it bad, and Puppey gave it to him.
Pudge making his second appearance here in our upper bracket semifinal, and I'd say the crowd's pretty happy about it, not too upset with the Chansey pick, as you had explained how it would be Chansey, but there's the man. Going to be looking to replicate the performance he had in Game 1, and truly a performance to be remembered. It's one thing to have a performance like that in general, but to do it on this stage with this much at stake, truly ascending to a new level. So Tongfu, though, the good news is they've seen it now. It's not something that they just saw it. I'm sure they had, at least in the back of their head, had the idea that perhaps this could happen to them moving down the stretch in another game. I'm sure during their break they talked it over at least a little bit, and they're going to have some kind of game plan in mind to try and keep Na'Vi from doing what they did in game number 1.
10 seconds
Well, the thing about picking Pudge when they picked it is it's an inherent risk not only because of the lineup of Tongfu, but because we haven't seen what Tongfu's mid's going to be yet. So we don't know what that Pudge matchup is going to be overall, but still one more ban from each team, so maybe they're going to ban out a hero that they don't want to put against Pudge, because even though, as Bruno stated before, he doesn't necessarily have to win his lane, there are just some heroes that you don't want to have to lane against if you're a Pudge. Queen of Pain probably being at the forefront of that, but I'm not sure if that's going to be the ban out here from Na'Vi or not. But Tongfu's lineup really, really strong. They, of course, have the Visage and the Rubik support cast, Darkseer to offlane, and the Gyrocopter to either carry, or he can actually go mid himself. We talked about that the last time we saw Pudge, actually, and the potential for him to go mid 1 versus 1 against that hero. So it looks like we're going to have to find out, but Na'Vi, whenever you see Pudge, whenever you see Chen, you know that Na'Vi's game plan could just be what it was in the first game, play hyper-aggression, look to open up room for that Alchemist, and this time the carry that they're picking is probably going to contribute, I think.
Just a smidge, I would imagine. One thing that, looking at the 2 lineups, other than everything you've already pointed out, Tongfu is a little light on crowd control. Really, they only have 2 abilities, one of which is insanely unreliable in the homing missile, but then you have telekinesis. Other than that, they don't have a lot of ways to lock heroes down. Compare that to Na'Vi with 2 nice AoE disables already in the Impale, and Alchemist if he's able to catch even more than 1 target with the Unstable Concoction. Then, of course, Pudge with the Dismembers. So Tongfu, most likely in this situation, needs to be looking for a hero with some kind of control. They need some way to put the brakes on Na'Vi when that hook does land, because you can't just bank on the idea that you're going to move so well and have such good vision that Pudge will never land a hook. Like, that's just not reality. It's not going to happen. So when those hooks do land, you need to have a way to again, put the brakes on that team fight that they're going to try to bring out. And there's some more, CC. Windrunner picked up, a Shackle Shot added to the repertoire. A lot of ways for Na'Vi to start these fights.
The hook is going to be their only form of initiation. That's like the one thing that you have to be concerned with, because of course they banned Mirana, so Tongfu not going to give Funnick that hero, which was a big turning point, especially during the first blood that happened in game number 1 between these 2 teams. But this time they're only going to have really Dendi. The Nyx eventually, I'm sure, will get a Blink Dagger, which will be nice for him, but it's not going to be anytime soon. And Tongfu, they're going to go with a Doombringer, so it's going to be a Doom versus a Pudge mid. And this is an interesting matchup. Doom, obviously not the greatest base armor, but once he actually gets Doom, it's very easy to just shut out the Chen from a fight, or maybe even the Pudge if you don't want to have to worry about that. And of course, if you're doomed, you can't even use items, so it just completely takes away that huge amount of health offset that a Chen naturally gives you inside of your lineup. And when you have something like a call down vacuum combination, it's actually going to be very, very strong for them. So question is, who's actually going to be able to win the middle lane, because Pudge versus Doom for the first couple of levels kind of have to give the advantage to the Pudge, because the Doom can't really effectively trade hits at that early stage in the game. But again, there's probably going to be a lot of movement coming out from both sides. I would imagine both lanes are going to be avoiding each other again, although I suppose Tongfu could potentially go aggressive here if they wanted to.
Both teams moving out as a pack of 5. Doesn't look like they're going to be heading to the same place anyway. We'll run through the lineups just so long. Yep, looks like they're going to go ahead and just take it easy. So starting on the side of Tongfu, Gyrocopter going to be farmed up by Hao. Going to have the Darkseer played by King Jae. Visage going to be handled by San Shing. Rubik played by Banana, and the Doom handled by Moo. On the side of Na'Vi, Chen going to be handled by Puppey. Once again, we'll have Alchemist farmed by Havost. The Nyx Assassin going to be played by Kuroki, and Funnick handling our red-headed Windrunner. But the man of the hour, the master of disaster, the Pudge, going to be played by Dindy for the second time. And